Hello, everybody. Hi, Matthew in Malta. How's it going today?
It's going well, Mike. Thank God. I'm just really excited about today. I think we're meeting some exceptional people today.
I believe that. Now, Matthew, you have a connection with the UK. You're in the midst of all these people from the UK, but I know you've got a part of your heart that is connected with this country. Tell us what that is.
Yes, I guess that was 11 years ago. I lived in London for 2 years and a half, and that's where I found my faith in Jesus Christ. So since then, I've always had a very special connection with the UK. It's been a mystery, like why did God choose for me to start this journey in the UK? There must have been a very good reason, and here we are today. So that's awesome.
Well, you're so welcome, and we're so grateful for your input. Now, why are we here tonight? From your point of view, what's the reason for being together, would you say?
Yeah, I've just been witnessing what's going on in England and Wales and Northern Ireland, and there's so much pressure to ban so-called conversion therapy.
Hang on, you
And
forgot Scotland. Don't forget
and
Scotland.
and Scotland. You're right, absolutely. Thank you, Mike. And we're just so grieved because we're just seeing how there's a population which is being ignored here. These are men and women who do not want to live from a place of same-sex attraction or gender confusion, and they have different goals, different pursuits, and we think they deserve an opportunity to find help and support for things that they don't want anymore in their lives. So we thought it was absolutely crucial that the United Kingdom and the nations hear their voices today. That's why we're doing this.
So help us to introduce folks, would you? Let's have them come in and hear a little bit from them. Who have we got first on the list? Who's the brave one?
Let's have Simon. Simon, can you introduce yourself?
Hi, good evening. I'm Simon. I'm from a town called Ebervale in the Valleys, and I currently live in Newport, and I work in Bristol as a butcher, and I left homosexuality in 2012, and I've been following Jesus ever since.
Brilliant. Thank you, Simon. Kieran, it's so good to have you. Could you come and introduce yourself?
Thank you so much for having me here today. I'm Kieran from Leicestershire. I was believing that I was born gay, and I lived a life fully engaged of homosexuality. And in 2017, I encountered the Lord Jesus and his word, and it completely transformed me. And since that day, I have not had any sexual desires towards women, and I've left the life of homosexuality.
Great.
So good, Kieran. Thank you. That was so awesome. We can have Rob as well. Hello, Rob. Thank you for being with us tonight.
Hi, thanks for having me. My name is Rob. I am from Wales originally, but live in Bristol. I am 33. I work as a translator, and I left a gay lifestyle 2.5 years ago, having received a call from God, and my life is much better now.
Oh, that's beautiful to hear, Rob. Thank you so much. Liam from London. Go ahead, Liam.
So, hi everyone. So, it's Liam. I'm 18 years old, and a year ago, I made the decision to come away from a future lifestyle which I didn't necessarily want. And after that decision, I had also been set free from depression, anxiety, and a lot of fear.
Wow.
So yes.
So good, Liam. Thank you for being bold and sharing that with us tonight. And can we have Christian? Hello, Christian.
Christian. I live in London, and when I was 20 years old, I left the gay lifestyle because I didn't find any fulfillment, and I was not happy in my gay relationship. And I find real love and acceptance in Jesus.
So good to have you, Christian. And I hear an Italian accent there.
Yes.
I hope you feel so welcome here. Libby, please come and introduce yourself.
Hi. Yeah. Hi, am I here? So,
We
yeah,
can hear
I'm
you.
Libby.
Go for it.
Sorry. I'm Libby. I'm 24 years old. And I lived as a man for about 7 years between the ages of 17 and 22 to 23. And God set me free from that lifestyle. God convicted me that that my gender had nothing to do with how I felt on the inside, and it was actually just the way that he created me, and that was beautiful. And since the end of 2019, he's been gradually setting me free from all of the mindsets that I had cultivated from believing in transgenderism and believing in modern LGBT ideology.
That's so powerful. Thank you, Libby. You stand out in such a good way. Thank you. And Tia, can we hear from you?
Hey guys, my name is Tia. I'm from London. I was living a homosexual lifestyle for a long time, and I thought I was born this way until 2017. I encountered the Lord, and God has changed my life in such an incredible way. I no longer feel attracted to women, and there are a lot of addictions that God set me free as well. And my life has just been amazing ever since.
So good.
Well, folks, we have quite a program to get through now, and I'm going to ask our producer to make everybody disappear. And then I'm going to ask just the following to come back: Matthew and Rob and Libby and Christian and Tia and myself. We're going to have a look at what the Prime Minister has been saying. Just before we do that, have you guys heard that on more than one occasion the Prime Minister has spoken about conversion therapy? Have any of you heard what he said? Anybody like to just say something very briefly about what you've heard? No? Nobody heard anything? Okay, well, let's listen to the tape and see if this brings
I think
anything.
I know why, Mike. I think they just simply don't want to spoil the clip for everyone watching tonight.
Okay, fair enough. Let's listen again. Go ahead.
Conversion therapy thing, I think that's absolutely abhorrent and has no place in a civilized society, has no place in this country. What we're going to do is a study right now on where is this actually happening, how prevalent is it, and we will then bring forward plans to ban it.
There it is. There you have it. So Prime Minister Boris Johnson expresses very clearly plans to ban what he calls conversion therapy. Reactions, guys, let's hear from you. What would you say to this? Libby, can we start with you?
Absolutely. I'm honestly like a bit shocked at his sort of lack of defining conversion therapy. He kind of just says this is a really bad thing. We want to find out what the problems are with it and how we can ban it. But what's he banning? What are these problems that he's trying to find out? Who is he studying? What is conversion therapy as far as Boris Johnson is concerned?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just that there doesn't seem like there's very much clarity in what he's said at all.
That's right.
It's really interesting, isn't it, Libby? Because in 2018, they did the largest national LGBT survey, I believe, that has ever been done. And yet they're still studying and still trying to decide what to do almost 3 years later. So I think, you've raised an important question there.
It seems that, not to be too provocative, but it does seem that they're not quite as interested in the safety of people as they are in the popularity. So they want people to agree with them, and they will say whatever words they think the majority of people will go for, regardless of whether those words even have meaning.
Yeah, and that's right, Libby. Christian, how do you think this will impact the ex-LGBT community? So people like you who left homosexuality, how would this impact you if they were to just go forward with this kind of blanket ban in the UK?
But I think that everybody has the freedom to choose and to receive counseling or pastoral care about anything, and there are many people like me that we didn't find fulfillment, purpose, or happiness in the gay relationship. And to be honest, we have a right to be helped and to be supported by a counselor or pastoral care. So ban the so-called conversion therapy or any help doesn't acknowledge my life or my feeling, my need as well.
So good. That's a very fair point. And it's worth mentioning that Prime Minister Boris Johnson said that, he made it sound like the research is going to agree with a decision that has already been made to ban such counseling. So it sounds like it's the other way around. What would you say to that, Tia?
Yeah, I mean, as soon as he said that he's going to look into it and ban it, it means like it kind of sounds like he's already made up his mind to ban something without even looking into it. He doesn't even know where it's happening. It'll be interesting to find out exactly what's happening and what does he mean by it, conversion therapy. I mean, I would like to know a bit more about that.
Mm-hmm. That's right, absolutely. And Rob, do you think that people like you have been consulted in any way in this decision? Like, how do you feel about this?
I would say that people have not been consulted at all, and this is an assault on our right to self-determination. It's an assault on our freedom of conscience, freedom of religion, freedom of faith. And the science behind it is completely topsy-turvy because they've reached a conclusion without gathering evidence. And that strikes me as dictatorial, without wishing to be provocative. And it is deeply concerning.
Mm-hmm. Wow. And if I had to ask you guys, generally speaking, how does this impact you? Because it's not like most of you guys have been through formal counseling. So would you tell us a little bit about your experience with leaving homosexuality or gender dysphoria? In a nutshell, what was it like for you? Just so we can engage with you on a deeper level. So starting with you again, Libby, if we can.
Yeah, that's good. I was waiting for a cue. Yeah, for me, it was a big difference leaving transgenderism as opposed to entering into it. Entering into transgenderism for me was a very easy process as far as the NHS was concerned. When I was 12 years old and I started experiencing gender dysphoria, I was offered NHS nurses and doctors and psychologists who would ask me lots of questions about who I was sexually attracted to and why I felt like I should be a boy and how they can help me. decide whether I should be a boy or how they can then help me to become the man that I wanted to be. When I left transgenderism, I was at a point where I was receiving a lot of NHS care. I was, receiving a prescription of testosterone that I didn't have to pay for. I was on waiting lists for surgeries that I wouldn't have to pay for because the NHS would fund it. And I had a nurse practitioner that I would have to see routinely every 3 months to get my hormone levels checked, but also just to monitor my mental health and make sure that I didn't have any underlying mental health issues that were going on that might be affecting my treatment as a trans man. When I left transgenderism, that disappeared. I knew from the get-go that because I was leaving transgenderism based on a faith-based decision rather than a regret-based decision, because I didn't feel uncomfortable with living as a man yet at that time. My goal was to feel comfortable living as a woman rather than doing it the other way around. I had to completely block out all of those services because I knew that they were going to question my decision, and I didn't feel strong enough to back myself up in that. I didn't get any kind of mental health support, because anybody that I turned to say I don't want to live as transgender anymore, but I still feel gender dysphoria, would say, well, your answer is transition. So
Wow, I just really admire your firmness there, because you just didn't have many options and you just had to know who you are, know who you wanted to be, and to pursue that regardless. Thumbs up to you, Libby. And what about you, Christian? What was it like for you to leave the homosexual lifestyle?
But personally, when I encountered Jesus, many things in my life changed, and I was not feeling connected in my gay relationship, and so when I left all the gay lifestyle, I find purpose, and I felt myself completely free from depression or lack of real connection, because I was looking for a real love, real connection, but actually in the gay relationship I didn't find it. But through Jesus I find it as well. I received many times prayer and pastoral care, and that really helped me to discover more who really I am in Christ, and to receive real love.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, this is a testimony of someone who's saying homosexuality did not work for me.
Matthew, you know what strikes me? It's interesting when you listen to Libby, who went through what she did and all the potential of, beta blockers, whatever it was, ultimately surgery. How come that's not conversion therapy? Is that not conversion therapy? Is removing body parts and altering hormones, etc., not conversion therapy? This seems very selected. Or selective. It depends on who controls the issue in terms of what is and what is not conversion therapy, it seems to me. Rob, what about you?
My experience in the gay lifestyle was really damaging for my mental health. When I was involved in it, I began having panic attacks and anxiety, because I found that nothing was good enough. People want perfection, and that is the absolute truth. And most people who are gay men will agree it is a really damaging experience for your mental health. There's alcohol abuse, drug abuse, much unfaithfulness, even among in relationships, and it's really bad. Whereas since turning back to Christ, my life is so much better, because God loves me for who I am in Christ. He looks at me as Jesus, and he doesn't say you need to be this, that, or the other. He loves me, and I feel so fulfilled, so much happier, so much more secure and loved. And I have met a family of people in X Out Loud, in my church, and my life has turned around. And people need to hear both sides of the story. It's not like a massive walk in the park, this gay lifestyle. It's not meant to be. It's really damaging, and it's not what God wants for humanity. he wants you to have a relationship with him through Jesus, and it is so worth it. The stuff that I've lost through being in the gay world is nothing compared to what I've gained now since turning to Christ, and it's true. And so, yeah, that's my experience.
Folks, there's lots of questions that we need answers for, because some will be watching this and saying, well, you know, I'm gay and I'm Christian and I'm very happy. What's the difference? I'm going in the direction that I want to go in. Maybe we can't take time right now to listen to those to responses to that, but I think we have to put ourselves in a position where we try and think about what the critics are going to be saying to us. I think that's important to do. Matthew, is it time to move to the next clip, or is there anything else you wanted to say?
I'd just love us to hear from Tia, another woman who left lesbianism this time. It would be great just to get some perspective from you, Tia. Take us in.
Sure. I just want to say I can relate to Rob when he says that this life was not an easy ride for us. I mean, personally, I was in a long-term committed relationship myself. And yet I felt that there was some kind of emptiness in me, that life is surely more than this, you know. And it did lead me to almost becoming an alcoholic. I was, always drinking. It was leading me to depression, anxieties, almost suicidal. And in 2017, I used to laugh at Christian people, to be honest with you. I used to mock them. I used to be angry at God all the time. I hated him and everything. And then I personally encountered him in 2017.
Yep.
Okay, something happened to Tia's video, but I'm sure she'll come back on and we'll be able to continue from that point. Yeah, so I think, yeah, Kieran's coming back. In the meantime, I would want to ask you guys here on our screen. So if you had the opportunity to just go back to the old lifestyle, if you were presented with a choice, do you have any regrets, or would you just choose this all over again if you had to make a fresh choice today? Like, what would you say to that?
Is it starting with me again?
Go for it, Libby.
Awesome. That just feels like such a non-question to me in a way, personally, because I left transgenderism because of my faith, and it was a faith-based decision. It was this obedience to God, who I already had faith to before I left transgenderism. If I woke up tomorrow and was living as a man again, there's no question about it. I would straight away be, living as a woman again, because that's what God asked me to do. It would, more than anything, I'd just be very confused as to why I was living as a man again.
So good. And I think, what you're describing beautifully, Libby, is that you found peace. Like, why would you lose your peace when you found it and it's brought this level of fulfillment in your life? It's beautiful. Tia, I see you're back as well. Would you want to?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, sorry, go on, Libby.
Sorry, I just the thing that kind of shocks me about it mostly is the sheer amount that changed when I left transgenderism was so little compared to what I thought would. I'm still the same person, I still have the same interests, I'm still pursuing the same life goals. The biggest difference is probably like the clothes I wear and the length of my hair, and if that stuff is like really that important to me, then that shows a bit of a deeper struggle, doesn't it?
Right on. Mike, were you going to say something?
No, I was just going to ask Tia, can you finish your story? You were in full flow and it was fascinating. Anything else you want to add to what you were saying? Can you hear me, Tia?
Oh, I'm so sorry. I think my internet is playing up a bit.
Okay.
Something out there does not want me to share my my experience. But yeah, as I was saying, that my life as a homosexual was not fulfilling in a sense that it was leading me to depression and anxiety. And I encountered God in 2017, and that's when everything just changed. And I'm so grateful, and I'm complete. I feel at peace, and I'm so happy now.
Listen, guys, I have to ask this question because many people will be asking it. Were you not just subjected to a very homophobic society? Is that why, you decided to turn to God and to leave your homosexuality? Wasn't it because society is really against gays and it depressed you and you felt you couldn't make progress? Is that the reason? Anybody?
Not at all, not for me. No, I did not have any homophobic experience, not even from my family, coming from an Asian background. I had people supporting me, and in fact, I had more friends when I was living a gay lifestyle. But it was actually hard for me to come out as a Christian and say that I no longer wish to live as a homosexual. And I was very shocked. It's like they were convincing me, no, you can't change. You are gay, so you stay gay. And I'm like, no, I'm not. Um, so yeah, a bit strange.
Anybody else on that question? The accusation that you're just responding to societal pressure. Go ahead, Libby.
Yeah, I've had a really similar experience to Tia, where I was brought up in a very liberal Christian family. My parents taught me that people are born gay and transgender, that God makes them that way. I genuinely believed that. I'd never even heard of any verses that condemn homosexuality, never mind transgenderism, in my life until I was sort of 22 years old. And even then, almost everybody was too scared to tell me that meant that I couldn't be transgender or gay. And I wasn't gay, by the way. I had never felt attraction towards women, so that wasn't anything that I was struggling with. What I was struggling with was this deep felt sensation that I was supposed to be a man. And I genuinely, it had to come straight from God. It had to come from my personal relationship with God, from my personal devotion, reading the Bible, from my prayer life, from, God showed me visions and dreams, and whether you believe in those or not, I know there are people that aren't Christian are watching this. That's how it was revealed to me. It wasn't revealed to me by other Christians. I've never attended a preach where somebody said that. And honestly, I've had such a similar experience this year where when I came out as transgender, people celebrated it. And I didn't live my life celebrating being transgender. I tried to hide that I was transgender from people and just live as a normal man. When I detransitioned and I came and said, actually, I've decided for the sake of my faith that I'm not going to live as transgender anymore, people were worried about me. They thought that I was being pressured into something, and then when they realized I wasn't being pressured into something and that I was still enjoying my life, they recalibrated and decided that I was therefore never really transgender and that I'd been lying to them this whole time. I lost friends. I lost so many people in my life. I've had the opposite experience. Society embraces the LGBT. They don't want to know you if you used to be LGBT and you're not anymore, or if you say that there's an other option for people who feel that way.
Mm-hmm. Powerful, powerful, Libby. Thank you. And can we have, before we move on to the next clip, real quick, can we have a final comment from you, Christian, and Rob as well?
To be honest, now I have more problem because people sometimes they don't really understand my change. But yeah, maybe when I was a child, really young, I could have, some people like make fun of me or my same-sex attraction. But when I grew up, I felt a lot of acceptance, to be honest. Yeah. And when when I met Jesus and my life changed, that I find more rejection actually, because I lost many friends as well. Yeah.
What about you, Rob?
I would say no, my decision is not a result of living in a homophobic society. I live in modern day Britain. Hello. This is definitely not a homophobic society. I reached this decision when I had been to a house party in London with pro-gay people, and with whom I'd never experienced any homophobia. It was a decision I reached myself when I got home, because it was an internal conviction of the Holy Spirit that I cannot live a gay lifestyle. It's not about condemning you if you have an orientation, but you can choose whether or not you act on that. And it was my choice based on my conviction that what God says in the Bible is right. And I know it's right. He's right. And we are playing with the Almighty if we try and say, no, I'm going to live my life my way. And yeah, that's it. The same as the other guys. It's an internal conviction. And unfortunately, I have faced the backlash from gay people who, say that you can't become ex-gay, rather than the other way around, from Christians or religious people saying, persecuting me. So, yeah.
Wow. All of you are not ashamed of the gospel, because you know and you have tasted that it is the power of God to save lives. So well done, all of you. And I believe, Mike, we have a new clip that we want everybody to see, right?
We do. It's with MP Elliot Coburn, who was, I guess, privileged to do the motion to introduce the issue that he was concerned about. They had an opportunity to ask people about whether or not conversion therapy should be banned, and many thousands of people signed it. And of course, in the UK, if you sign a petition and you get a certain number, then it can lead to a cross-party debate. And that's what happened in this case. It wasn't in the House itself, in the House of Commons, but it was in Westminster Hall. And Eliot introduced the occasion and spoke about why he felt conversion therapy should be banned. So let's listen to him and try to understand what he's saying.
The prayer of this petition states, and I quote, that I would like the government to make running conversion therapy in the UK a criminal offence, forcing people to attend said conversion therapies a criminal offence, sending people abroad in order to try and convert them a criminal offence, and protect individuals from conversion therapy. Next is Josh's story. Josh went undercover in a Liverpool church in 2017 for the Liverpool Echo, which offered a cure for homosexuality through a 3-day starvation programme. The assistant pastor told Josh to starve himself and not drink any water before taking part in weekly prayer sessions, referring to being gay as the deceit of Satan. In these prayer groups, it was said that the assistant pastor would shout phrases such as "kill it with fire," "die in the fire," whilst members of the congregation were seen crying, shaking and sweating, and apparently appearing to speak in tongues. What is also shocking is that the assistant pastor was at the time, and I can find no evidence to the contrary that he is no longer, a doctor within the NHS. The UN report into conversion therapy last year summed it up perfectly when it concluded that any and all forms of conversion therapy are inherently degrading and discriminatory. They're rooted in the belief that LGBT persons are somehow inferior, and they must at any cost modify their orientation or identity to remedy that supposed inferiority. Indeed, so strong was this report that it called for nothing less than a global ban on conversion therapy. And here in the UK, the practice has received almost universal condemnation. In 2017, a Memorandum of Understanding on Conversion Therapy in the UK was signed by NHS England and 12 other psychotherapy and health bodies, charities and organisations. And in line with the UN report's recommendations, this ban must cover both the public and the private spheres. all forms of intervention, no matter what they may be, whether that be healthcare, religious, cultural, traditional, etc. It must cover both children and adults, cover both those that have been coerced and indeed those that consented to these conversion practices.
Wow.
You heard it. You heard it from the MP, Elliot Colburn himself, and I think we would like to hear this time from Kieran, Liam, Simon, and Simon. Yes, that's right. We'll have all three of you share a little bit here, and we'll have the rest come on later, just a bit later. So, yeah. So, what do you guys think? I mean, you know, the MP seemed to have an issue with a pastor who has certain views about homosexuality having a job at the NHS, for example, or, you know, he just demonized important and sacred Christian practices and disciplines, such as the ministry of deliverance and, you know, the fasting and prayer. And, you know, what would you say, starting with you, Simon, how do you react to this?
I think the guy is sort of has made up his mind already and is all what I did. Like, I was never forced to sort of leave homosexuality. He made a point of saying about people being made to go and to partake in conversion therapy. Nobody coerced me, touched my before that, it did anyway. And nobody talked about, and I just had enough of to leave it, because I was looking for love.
Simon, I'm really sorry, but we seem to be having some audio issues here. Yeah, I'm so sorry to cut you off like this. We really are experiencing some audio issues. Maybe, Mr. Producer, if you can connect with Simon, that would be really helpful. Thank you so much.
But Matthew, let's not lose what Simon said. I mean, it's really important. He said that he wasn't coerced. There was no coercion at all. You know, what is worrying me is these people were not coerced. But what is about to be introduced, correct me if I'm wrong, is highly coercive. It's pushing people in a direction and ensuring that they cannot leave the feelings that they have. They have to accept that these feelings are part and parcel of their lives. This is extraordinary. So I think what Simon has brought up there is really profound. I see he's back here. Simon, can you have another go? If it doesn't work, we'll keep trying until we hear from you. But carry on.
Yeah. By the time I left it, left homosexuality, because I was very active in it. I was very promiscuous with it as well. I just felt dead inside. I just felt cold. I felt heartless. It just didn't satisfy me at all. I had no peace. I suffered. I had a lot of anger as well. I had no peace. In fact, a couple of people said to me. One person said that I looked hacked off with life, and another person said to me that I looked as if I wasn't happy with my lot, and I wasn't. And when I turned away from it and turned to the Lord, things started to get better. Though not straight away, over the course of time. You know, I felt peace that I hadn't had before, and the last 8 years of my life have been the best because I feel a lot more peace. And I feel a peace with God, and I certainly don't agree with what that guy is saying at all. It's just one-sided. It's all about the gay community. Gay community. Sorry. Do you want to carry on?
Simon, you've done very well and you're struggling uphill here. So let's just pause it for a minute. We'll come back to you in a few minutes. But I mean, the point is, again, if you know Simon's story, he wasn't coerced into leaving homosexuality, just the opposite. He went into a loving church and was supported by people who really seemed to understand what he was all about and what he needed to do with his life.
That's right. That's so good, Mike. And what about you, Kieran? What are your reactions to what Elliot just said?
Yeah, I definitely don't agree with what he's saying, because what he's saying is biased. It's like,
okay, we're not hearing from Kieran, are we?
I'm hearing.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Go ahead.
Yeah. So yeah, what he's saying is that if we disagree with any LGBT agenda, or if we are not in support of that community, he wants to criminalize everything we say. So we come to a point that, are we going to come to a point where in our homes we cannot discuss this issue? In churches, in synagogues, in mosques, we cannot speak about this issue. He's talking about cultural bans and traditional bans, and coming from an Indian background, I know many Indian families who don't support homosexuality, and you're going to wipe out their tradition and ban that through this, by criminalizing their thoughts and their beliefs. So I think it's just a totally biased view of what he said. It's his agenda, and there's something greater behind it, and trying to shut our voices down by not even allowing people who are consenting to go to this sort of counselling or therapy to seek advice and help. I just think it's ludicrous.
That's so good, Kieran. And what you're saying is, in other words, they accuse such help to people like us, as they accuse it to be torture and tormenting. But actually, it is tormenting for us to feel like we're denied the opportunity to go further in our walk and experience just the fulfillment of our dreams in life. So you're absolutely on the mark. Thank you, Kieran. What about you, Liam?
Yes, there's a couple of comments that he made that I do want to address. And he mentioned that we are told that gay people are inferior. Well,
yes, I can hear you. So just go ahead, Liam. Don't worry.
Maybe
just
there's a
carry
lag.
on. Keep going, Liam.
Hello.
Keep going, Liam.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Liam, go ahead. Yes.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Well, folks, my concern here is that Elliot is talking about criminalizing a behavior that has been described by the one group who is wanting to outlaw this. we're not really hearing about what took place in that church. We're told that this undercover journalist was starved. I mean, Josh is a man who went to this church looking for help, and he was led in a certain direction. It's really Josh's word against anybody else's word. Have we really heard from that church's point of view? You know, nobody says that things are perfect in every situation, but it concerns me that we are pushing for criminalization, no less than criminalization, jail sentences and fines. And it just troubles me that we are going so quickly towards that. Are we really in a position to be able to put that kind of burden onto people? Liam, can you hear me now? No. Okay.
Would be great to hear from you, Kieran, again.
No. Folks, I think maybe we should just go on to the next one, because we're having some problems here. So I wonder if we shouldn't go to the next clip, and by the time we've heard that, I think possibly we'll be able to move on with some of the issues that we're facing. So let's leave Elliot in London at the Westminster meeting, and let's now come over to Belfast, where I am. So very recently, on the 20th of April, in Stormont, there was a symbolic vote. So it was non-binding, but members of the local assembly wanted to address the issue of conversion therapy. Just have a listen to this, and let's see if we can get some response from those who are with us tonight on it. Can we shoot that clip, please?
I'm a straight man. I was born straight. There is no fix or cure for me. There is no therapy that will make me a gay man. So why on earth would we say that a gay man wasn't born that way? Why would we say that a gay man can be fixed or cured? Why can we say that there's a therapy to change a gay man into a straight man? There isn't. It's ludicrous. And if you believe that gay, lesbian, bisexual, trans, gender diverse is a lifestyle choice, there is nothing I can say here today to you that will change your mind. If that's what you believe, then that's what you believe. Conversion therapy is humiliating. It is harmful. And listening to those testimonies of individuals who have undergone conversion therapy, it is clear that it has far-reaching negative mental impacts. The continual promotion that somebody is broken or wrong leads them to feel they are worthless, and extremes lead to suicide. The British Psychological Society for Northern Ireland chairperson said conversion therapies are unethical and unsupported by psychological evidence. Our society is committed to ending this practice. Sexual orientation and gender identities are not mental health disorders. However, those subjected to exclusion, stigma, prejudice may well experience mental health issues as a result. She went on to say, it is important that the public are made aware of the risk and the harms of conversion therapies.
Wow. Tia, do you have a reaction to Doug Beattie? He's a member of the local assembly in Northern Ireland. What's your response to what he's saying there?
I don't understand, because at one point they are saying sexuality is fluid. And then he's saying that a straight man cannot change, just like that a gay man cannot change. I disagree with that, because change is constant in our lives. People change. You can have a change of heart, a change of mind. For example, bisexuality. One day person, you're not born with bisexuality that I want to be with both people, with both genders. You choose, you decide what you want to do. So I disagree with him, the logic that he's using, giving his own example that he's born a heterosexual man, he will not be changed into a gay person. But that happens all the time. Straight people change and gay people change as well. So I really don't know what he's talking about.
That's a very good point. And Simon, Doug also mentioned that sexual abuse doesn't affect one's sexual development, and that would be crazy to even suggest that. How would you respond to it?
Would have never gone down the route of homosexuality if my sexuality had been woken up by the abuse that I received over the years. And also, I disagree strongly with what he says, that it is all genetic. As a former psychology student, when I was reading psychology, there are certain psychologists which go from a genetic perspective and sort of biological perspective. However, mainstream psychology will say that genes and the environment interact with each other. And there's no, maybe some people that propose have a preposition to same-sex attraction. However, you've got to equate environmental factors. When it's on television, you've got it on advertising, when it's bombarded on posters, you can't discount environmental factors. The environment shape the personalities. It's an interaction. So to say that it is totally genetic, there is no proof of that at all. There may be a predisposition, but certainly there's environmental factors which sort of carry a big part.
That's exactly right.
Most certainly.
That's exactly right, Simon.
That's my feeling.
And what I like about what you just said is that you actually dared to ask the right questions in your life, because it's easy to just tell someone you're born that way, you cannot change, don't ask any questions. But when you actually dig deeper, you find that there's lots to learn about this whole thing. So well done to you. And Libby, Doug, mentioned suicide, mentioned risks, and he just made it sound like it's such a scary path to explore change in one's life. What's your reaction?
Honestly, as far as those things go, I'm not really sure what to say. The thing that I can't help on right now is ritual and spiritual abuse that was mentioned in the previous clip. I'm sorry, but there's a massive difference between what people do when they're leaving LGBT communities and ritual and spiritual abuse, which seems to be what took place in Liverpool. Now, I wasn't there, I cannot judge, but actions like trying to shout demons out of people because of brokenness that they've received, or because of sexual differences or perversions, whatever those might be, that's not an issue for conversion therapy as we're understanding it now. That's not an issue for people leaving gay lifestyles or people leaving transgender lifestyles. That's not what we do at X Out Loud, and that's not what Core Issues Trust do. That's an issue for the church. That's an issue for religious practices within any faith community. And it has nothing to do with whether somebody's homosexual, because they're casting out demons in people, which are the spirit of fear or of lying or of heterosexual lust. That's nothing to do with homosexuality. There's a massive difference. And I know we've just watched a different clip, but I had to make that point, that the conflation of that between what they're doing there and what we're doing is completely unfounded. What we do is we speak to people one-on-one. We get to know people for who they are, and we allow people to make decisions for themselves, led by their own understanding of the Bible, of prayer, and even of just communication and counselling. We do, there's one-to-one therapy that takes place. There is, it's not about shouting at somebody and making them starve themselves for 3 days. What we're talking about is telling people that they can be set free if they so wish. And what that freedom looks like is different for everybody. What we're doing is we're helping people heal from trauma that they've experienced in the past, from sexual trauma, from relational trauma that might not have anything to do with their sexuality or gender identity, but oftentimes in the experience it has.
That's absolutely right. Yes, and that could happen in various scenarios. Like, why have they chosen to focus on men and women leaving LGBT when in reality spiritual abuse could have happened when somebody is practicing deliverance on somebody who has alcohol abuse problems? So it's just ridiculous and unfounded to just put a spotlight on this. You're absolutely right, Libby. Mike, were you going to say something?
Well, I just saw Tia's hand go up. Tia, do you have something that you wanted to add to what Libby's saying?
Yeah, I wanted to speak about what Elliot was talking about in the clip before that.
Mm-hmm.
It's saying that Josh went secretly in the church to get help. He pretended to get help. So my question is, there are people who actually seriously looking for help because of their culture or religious background. They need help. They want to go and get help. And he went there, and people, we being Christians, we believe in demons, we believe in spirits, we have our ways of praying for them, fasting, even praying in tongues, and what I was so happy as well to see that people were genuinely crying for him. It's saying he was saying that people were shaking and crying. So these people are innocently trying to cast out the spirits who are actually he's come there to get help from, which he doesn't know. We believe in demons. So we're just looking at one side of the coin, that this is so negative, but those people are actually trying to help someone who's showed up looking for help, and they're doing their best. Like, every religion, every culture will have their own way of dealing with somebody who comes for help. And I just see a church, a religious group trying to help somebody with prayers and fasting. I mean, they did not force him to fast. I mean, he could turn around and say, no, I don't want to fast. And just, that's okay. We're not going to force anybody to fast. That's fine. But the fact that they are actually putting down Christianity, that we are praying in tongues, we're casting. And when he's saying that burn in hell and fire and all that, he's actually talking to the demons behind him. He's not telling that person who's pretending to be gay to go and burn in fire. He's speaking to the demons, because this is our Christian language. It's a spiritual language. So I think that we are seeing a very negative side of Christianity, that we are putting people. I mean, I don't disagree that there may be other churches, other faiths who are actually abusing this. But I'm just talking about this in the UK. I don't see this happening.
That's a very good point. In Malta, in my country, so-called conversion therapy has been banned. And what it has done is it has created a culture of intimidation. They might have not banned coercive, non-coercive help, sorry. But the thing is, people are still afraid to talk about it, to mention it. Journalists are afraid to ask questions or to explore this because of the ban. So it's just going to create more stigma. So yeah, any other reactions, any other comments? Would be great to hear from you, Rob, as well.
Just want to just say the example of this undercover journalist, as far as I'm concerned, is completely null and void, because he wasn't coerced into any form of therapy. He went there pretending to want help. And if he wants to say it was ineffective, he wasn't a willing participant. He, as far as I know, is a gay man, and he wasn't there to try and become straight. So this example is completely irrelevant and unfair to form the basis of this motion to ban any form of help. And my personal experience, I've never been sat down and told you must become straight. It's just about listening to my experiences and say how unhappy I have found it being in a gay environment, acting out my desires and in the gay world, and respecting me. And I've only ever been respected and not pressured into any kind of program or goal. And people I've found in my church and X Out Loud, they want to know me, and they whereas before I came back to Christ, people, they just don't want to know you. They just want to use you for a sexual experience and then drop you like that. So we're being lied to completely in the media, because the gay lobby has such a huge influence. And this is not to hate gay people. This is to say the lobby. This is the problem when a government gives too much power to a certain lobby. The rest of the population has to be silent, and it's not fair, because it's not the reality people's experience.
That's right.
That's what I'm saying.
We're seeing the governments of the world fund ideology, really fund ideology and advance it. And what happened to science? What happened to listening to what science shows us very clearly about this subject? Big time. So Liam, can we hear something from you?
Hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank God. Okay. So, yeah. So, I was kind of taken a bit aback by Mr. Beatty's comments, because every single thing he mentioned, I've experienced the direct opposite with coming into this newfound identity and speaking with supposed conversion therapists and etc. And what I have found is that immediately I was told that, you know, whatever path I were to choose in life would be, you know, okay, in the sense that I shouldn't have to feel shameful on, you know, whichever path I took. So I had shame removed straight away, and through speaking to a lot of people, I started to work through some of the issues that I genuinely believe contributed to the gay identity. And gradually I came out of depression. This time last year, I was suicidal. I was going to commit suicide. What was with me is I always wanted a wife and kids when I became an adult, and I couldn't see that in my future anymore. And regardless of what, I don't care. Just regardless of what, I knew I was never ever going to be happy until I could achieve that aim. And now, also, believe it or not, being in this ex-LGBT community, I have, like, my sexuality has really lost its importance, because I'm at a stage where I'm so happy and I've had so much taken away from me. And I mean, even, for example, whenever I speak about my story, there is always that one person who will give me a lot of hate, including three-page Word documents and etc. But even when I get this now, it's so much better than when I was in that gay identity. So then I have to ask, you know, that these people have not experienced what I have experienced, and I don't find it fair how you know, that these politicians and stuff like that are coming up with all of this, not having even decided to consult with me, not even
having decided to come and consult any of you. It's ridiculous, because I genuinely feel hurt. I feel so invalidated, because, you know, I have been gradually experiencing change. Even now, my attractions are changing, and I just find it so unfair that no one even looks at me like, hello, I'm here. I've been through this. Can anyone hear me? This is how I feel almost every day of my life. And, you know, they say we live in a free country. It feels like a dictatorship, honestly. And, you know, and
You've said something there that I think is really important, because what I hear is you don't feel celebrated. You don't feel as though anybody is thankful for the fact that you have found a pathway that is important to you.
No, and I genuinely feel like for certain people, they would wish that I was dead. You know, that is the way I genuinely feel, and I'm okay. Like, I've come out of this negative mindset and stuff like that, but you know, just the way people in the LGBT community deserve to live their lives. Let me live my life, and let me get the help that I need to get, that I want to get for myself.
That's very powerful and very well said, Liam. Thank you so much. Now, listen, folks, we are coming to the end of our time here. What I'm going to ask now is that we just go around and get some final words. I saw your hand again, Tia, so let's start with you. You've listened to 3 clips. Obviously, this can't be the end of the story. I would really urge those who've come tonight to keep speaking. Take every opportunity you can to share about the hope that is in each one of your hearts and lives. But let's hear from anybody now who just wants to give some closing comments, and then we'll summarize and go on. Go ahead, Tia.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that it's really sad that they're talking about forced conversion, and here they are forcing their ideology on us in schools, in different places. We have to accept a form of lifestyle which goes against our beliefs, something that we disagree with. It doesn't mean we hate them, but we disagree with them, and everybody will have disagreements in different issues. That why is it that they are forcing their ideology on us, that we have to accept and allow things to dictate us? And because of them, people like me, who once was looking for help to come out of this kind of a lifestyle, they are stopping that access for us. Because there will be many people who will encounter change and they will need help. For example, if there is a married husband and wife scenario, let's take it for example, and one day a husband is finding himself attracted to another man, and simply to save his marriage, his children, his wife, that relationship, he's seeking help. And here's the society telling him, I'm afraid, go ahead and break your family, break your children's hearts, whatever, walk away, because you are gay and you stay that way. There is no help. I think that this needs to be seriously considered by the politicians, by our MP minister, because this is taking away freedom from people who genuinely need.
Thank you so much, Tia. Simon, can we hear from you, please?
Yeah, I think that that we should be allowed to sort of pursue what we are pursuing. How can I say it? If people want to come out of same-sex attraction and want to find help, I think people have the right to pursue that. If people want to pursue homosexuality, that is their choice. And in the same token, my choice to pursue what I am win. Ultimately, I wouldn't say to anybody living in a homosexual lifestyle to sort of go that road. I would say that there's a better would exist to way, but we have rights just the same as you as the gay community, and you know, we should be allowed to pursue what we are pursuing, the conversion therapy or counselling, because conversion therapy is wrong. For it. We should be allowed to get help, Stoville, and yeah.
Fair enough. Thank you so much, Simon. Libby, can we hear from you, please?
Yeah, absolutely. I think something that's been on my mind this week, as I've been a university student and I write papers on theology and philosophy. And as I've been working on a philosophy paper, I've actually been looking into the sexual revolution and how this term homosexual and this identity of homosexual came about. And what interests me is that it seems that prior to the modern era where we were seeking truth, the homosexual was not really a thought on anybody's mind, but there was actually just perversion of sodomy, and that's how people understood it. They understood that sometimes you just feel like doing a thing that the Bible doesn't really agree with, and of course then we have a lot of oppression that comes in through misguided church leaders and misguided governments, which has genuinely hurt a lot of people, and I can understand that. But then what's come in is the psychopathologization and physiopathologization of homosexuality. So all of a sudden now people are trying to say there's you're gay because there's something going wrong in your mind, and there's something that needs to be fixed in your mind. And this is where we got all these electroshock therapies from. And then the next step that people say when they realize like these electroshock therapies don't work is they go to, oh, well, you were born gay and this makes you a different type of species. And for some reason, that's the one we've stuck with. And that's the thing that I really don't understand, because now you can't escape it. Now, rather than it being just a flitting thought in your mind, it has to become a part of your personal identity. It's a part of who and what you are, and it makes you a different type of man or a different type of woman. When why can't we just be men and women? We were able to do that in all societies prior to this understanding, this idea that now it's something biological, it's ontological, it has to do with your actual being. Your being is now homosexual, and as things are exploring into that, we're getting your being is now transsexual or transgender. Why can't it just be a thought that I had that I decided whether I wanted to act on it or not?
Well, there's a huge amount in that. Thank you so much, Libby. Let's have final thoughts from you, Rob, please.
Proposed motion in that it will discriminate against gay people, because all of us here, I think, either identified as gay or transgender or bisexual or something else at a certain point in time. And this proposed ban would prevent us from living our lives as we see fit. So there is a deep irony in it, and the government needs to see that. And as free citizens in a democracy, it is our right to freedom of conscience, freedom of religion, freedom of faith. This is not about hurting anyone else. It's about giving people freedom. And I was really miserable when I was in a gay lifestyle, and I found it really hurtful, really damaging from many different aspects of my life. And I would just really appreciate it if the government could consider both sides of the story and respect people's autonomy.
Thank you so much. Matthew, I think the last word is for you. Do you have any thoughts that you'd like to leave? Oh, I see Kieran has come back.
Kieran, yes, we need to hear from Kieran.
Kieran, can you give us your final thoughts?
Sure. I just think it's a real shame that the Prime Minister is already thinking about bringing in this ban without taking any consideration for people like me and people on this call today, because here we are today and we are changed people. We are the people who are from ex-gay or ex-trans communities, and we do exist. And I think bringing this ban in place, it's cutting people off and isolating us, because for people who genuinely want to seek the help to kind of move away from same-sex attraction, you're blocking that help for them. But if you're saying it should be a culture where it should be embracing pride and LGBT, why can't we embrace also the movement from moving away from LGBT community into what we are now, where we don't want to practice it? And I just think it's totally isolating us. You're genuinely banning the help that people genuinely will need and who are seeking and willing to want to get that help. And it's just a way of just trying to shut us down. But eventually, we will see that there will be more and more people that will be moving away. I don't think this is just the 7 of us here that are talking about this. I think there's a greater number who have found a way or a platform to speak on about true feelings of living homosexuality, because there's that fear culture that you're gay, you're stay gay, and you're always gay. But here we are, living proof that what Jesus has done in our life has totally changed us and transformed us.
That's absolutely right, Kieran. Thank you so much, guys. And I just really have on my heart the church as well. You know, if you might be a pastor watching, you might be a minister of the gospel, a deacon, or an active member in your church. But, you know, this is aiming at you guys. This is aiming at the church.
Exactly.
And even if it didn't, we should be protecting the right for professionals, for counselors, psychologists, to help people in this area and not to have a one-sided view of it all. And so I just encourage you to fight the good fight of faith and to stand up for the Christian faith and for men and women who are trying their very best and more to stick to biblical values and to also be authentic with who they are in Christ Jesus and with their life goals and dreams. So be watchful and pray and share this with your friends, and let's stand together as one body over this issue, because this is just the beginning of where the liberals and the progressives want to go with this. And we can't afford to give a foothold here. So that's my heart, that we would be together and that we would be alert. So I'm just really inspired by the voices in the UK, honestly blown away by your stories and your life example every single day, because I'm friends with you all. And you are the heroes of our time. You really are. So thank you so much, Kieran, Simon, Rob, Liam, Tia, Libby, Christian. Just blown away. Thank you. Mike, over to you.
Well, folks, I think this has been an achievement. I know it's been a bit torturous as far as the technology is concerned, but we're trying to do something that is quite ambitious here. It'll get better. So don't be disheartened if you were thrown off or you couldn't hear the other participants at certain times. I'm sure we'll find ways through this. But I want to sincerely thank you for the dedication and the sacrifice that you've made here today. I think my conclusion is this, that, you know, all of us can make mistakes. All of us can have misunderstandings and perceptions that need, you know, changing and need to be corrected. But my concern is we are not being consulted by anybody. And people don't have to consult with me There's loads of people willing to talk about this issue. Many people are willing to talk about this issue. But I have to say, in Great Britain, I have yet to hear of any government minister or any political party having enough strength to be able to identify with this side of the house and to, you know, have a conversation that would enable voices like these to be heard. So that would be my concern. And that's what I think we are asking people more broadly to consider in terms of how we go forward. So thank you very much to everybody who's been here tonight. Matthew, thank you for your time tonight. God bless you. And we look forward to coming back together again very soon. Thank you so much and good night.